altogether a different language. With the title of Altogether a Different Language. Please give a very warm welcome to Charlie Werwoski. I've become my father. Not in everything, but just in what I say. And not in what I say to everyone, but just in what I say to my children. Especially the teenager. I open my mouth, I plan to speak, but Dad is channeling himself through me. Call this music nowadays? What do you mean going out dressed like that? Because I told you. You treat this hotel like a house. Or maybe the other way around. I'm starting to sound like my father. Am I starting to sound like yours? Yeah. This contest chair, fellow contestants and Toastmasters, and very welcome guests. It's not going to plan. I have this grand plan. I was going to be a fantastic father to my children by the time they reached 13. I thought I also might do a little bit before. But there's a problem. The problem is, if I'm going to stay in touch, I need to be cool. I need to be down with my kids, just hanging around with them. So they say, do you know what? He's not really my dad. We're more like best mates. But how do you stay in touch with him? What's the answer? Things are so different from when they used to be when I was that age. When I was a teenager, it was Sony Walkmans on cassettes instead of iPods. And it was Tony Blackburn on Radio 1 instead of... Actually, I don't know instead of who nowadays. And that's the point. I was losing touch. So how do I stay in touch with the youth? I had a plan. Stay in touch with the kids, go and work with them. So that's what I did. 6 years in a secondary school, mentoring teenagers. I remember the first day. The first mentoring session I had. I thought, I need to get to know this young man, find out what he's all about. Tell me about yourself. What do you like to do at the weekends? Yeah, well, mostly I just cotch with me breads in my yard, innit? And there's bare of us. Some are buffs, some are butters. Next breads come along and they're looking for beef, but we just have to allow it. And 5-0 are always around, and that's really deep. Okay, that's really interesting. Straight out of the room, Googled English to teenage diction. And do you know what? There actually is one. So I learned a few of the words. He was talking about bear people. Now, what are bear people? Are they people who live in the woods? Are they people who get dressed up in bear costumes? Are they nudists? Ladies and gentlemen, we are bear people. Because bear people is a gathering, a group of people. So please feel free to go home tonight and say, I was out with bear people tonight. See what your partners say. Next is next. Now, if you want to be down with the kids, you need to use the word next. Because next means, I don't care. What are you doing later on? Well, I've got some next lesson with some next teacher. And then later on I'm going to some next place with some next people. You don't care. It's not important. But my absolute favourite was 5-0. Any takers? What does 5-0 mean? Police. Police, thank you very much. And why does 5-0 mean police? And what do you know about the police? Hawaii 5-0. Some of you from our generation will remember some Hawaii 5-0 and some of you won't. Hawaii Five-O was the cop show to die for in the 1970s. It was cops in speedboats, it was girls in the hula skirts, and it was a theme tune that was fantastic. But this young man was not talking about Hawaii policemen with all their glamour. He was talking about Hounslow community police officers on their bicycles. So I found out how they talked, and I found out a bit about how they walked. The boys came to school like this, with their bags on their shoulders, and they're walking like this. And the girls came to school with their bags and walked like this. And their bag had everything they needed for school. No school books, but fags, mobile phone, and in one case, a hair straightener. So all this time in the school, did it help me with my children? Did it help? My eldest is 14 now, and he has two interests. One is music. The other is being right. And I'll tell you what, he's fantastic at being right. He is so good at it because he speaks with the absolute conviction of what he's talking about with nothing to back it up. He should be a politician. And music. He loves his music. He's dancing all the time. I talk to him and he's all full of dance. He's like this. Dad, yeah, Dad, I'm listening to you, Dad, yeah, Dad. Cool beans, Dad. If anyone finds out what cool beans are, please call me up and let me know, because I would love to know. So my grand plan to stay in touch with my kids doesn't seem to be working. Plan A, out the window. Luckily, I've got Plan B. And Plan B is bide my time and wait for them to become adults. It's a plan. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is take solace in the words of Mark Twain. And he said, when I was 14, my dad was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old fellow around. But by the time he was 21, I was amazed to see how much he caught up. It's gone to the